Let me read to you a passage from the 7th chapter of St. Luke's Gospel, verses 18 to 23. It's the Gospel for Wednesday of the third week of Advent, Year B. St. Luke writes, John's disciples told him about all these things. Calling two of them, he sent them to the Lord to ask, "Are you the one who was to come, or should we expect someone else?" When the men came to Jesus, they said, "John the Baptist sent us to ask you, are you the one who was to come, or should we expect someone else?" At that very time, Jesus cured many who had diseases, sicknesses, and evil spirits, and gave sight to many who were blind. So he replied to the messengers, "Go back and report to John what you have seen and heard. The blind receive sight, the lame walk, those who have leprosy are cured, the deaf hear, the dead are raised, and the good news is preached to the poor. Blessed is the man who does not fall away on account of me." That's from Luke chapter 7, verses 18 to 23. What does it suggest to us? Well, it suggests the awesomeness and at the same time the lowliness of God. What do I mean? Well, there are numerous celebrated events in the Old Testament that manifest the awesomeness of Yahweh God. His striking the Egyptians with plagues and disasters, his leading the children of Israel through the Red Sea and then drowning the pursuing Egyptians, his feeding the moving population with manna and with quails, his going ahead of them in a cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. All of these manifestations set him apart from the gods of the peoples. He is the one and only God, and his chosen people are to have no other gods apart from him. Upon their arrival at Sinai, Moses went up the mountain to God, as we read in Exodus chapter 19, and spoke with him. God instructed him to tell the people not so much as to touch the mountain, and if anyone were to touch it, that person must be stoned to death. Then Moses descended from the mountain to tell the people they were to sanctify themselves for the coming theophany. Then on the third day there were, as we read, peals of thunder and lightning, and a heavy cloud over the mountain, and a very loud trumpet blast, so that all the people in the camp trembled. Mount Sinai was all wrapped in smoke, for the Lord came down upon it in fire. The smoke rose from it as though from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. The trumpet blast grew louder and louder, while Moses was speaking and God answering him with thunder. Exodus chapter 19, verses 16 to 19. And this is described as if it is historical fact. The God of earth and heaven is making himself known to his people. The people were to keep at a distance, reminiscent of Moses' own initial meeting with God at the burning bush. He was told there to come no nearer, for it was holy ground. Then God gave his commandments to the people. We read that, and I quote, "When the people witnessed the thunder and the lightning, the trumpet blast, and the mountain smoking, they all feared and trembled." Exodus 20, verse 18. Well, let us take another scene. A few centuries later, Elijah is in confrontation with the 400 prophets of Baal. He challenges them to get their God to consume the sacrifice. Nothing happens. Then with a brief prayer to Yahweh, fire from heaven descends and consumes Elijah's sacrifice. Powerful indeed. But the greatest act of divine power in the history of salvation was the Incarnation. The infinite God, the one who's not just a being, but pure being without limit, took a human nature. A newborn babe, held in the arms of his mother, was the God of Sinai, the God who consumed by fire from heaven the sacrifice of Elijah. Humanly, he was helpless and utterly dependent. How could this be? Well, man cannot understand it, but the Church in her proclamation and preaching of the doctrine of the Incarnation distinguished between person and nature, both in reference to the Trinity and in reference to the Incarnation. God's nature, which is his being, is one, but he is three distinct persons. The second person took to himself a human nature, while retaining, of course, his divine nature. That is to say, the second person of the Trinity, true God, became man, while in his person being divine. But now the point here is that in his humanity, the incarnate God became as all men are, accepting sin. Sin never could touch him, though he could be approached from external sources by temptation. Satan could approach him and try to persuade him to follow a path different from that which was divinely willed, as could his ardent disciple Simon Peter. The glory of God become man was veiled. His humanity was necessarily limited, and his divinity was not immediately beheld. His path and his work too, inasmuch as it was the path and the work of a man, veiled to a point the infinite power of the person who thus worked. It was only gradually that he let his glory be seen. And thus it is that when John the Baptist's disciples told him of the work of Jesus of Nazareth, John was puzzled. It did not sound like the mighty Messiah he had expected and announced to the people. It seems that John had formed his impression on certain prophecies, but perhaps not on others. In any case, he needed confirmation. So he sent his disciples to plainly ask his holy relative if he was the one long predicted or not. Are you the Messiah, after all? Christ in answer assured John that he was, and pointed to what he was doing, suggestive of other prophecies. All this is to say that wonder of wonders, the awesome God of earth and heaven, creator of all things seen and unseen, the Holy of Holies, pure, limitless being, is now our brother. We creatures now approach the living God through the humanity of Jesus Christ. There is now an extraordinary accessibility about God. He is so very, very accessible, almost we could say so very ordinary. He, the source of rapture in heaven, is day and night in all our churches in the Blessed Sacrament, silently awaiting our presence. He is the living God and is man, and we might say humbler still. He abides in our midst as the living head of the body of which we are the members, of the body which is his church. Let us approach him then, but with a lively faith in him, eyes wide open to who it is we are thus approaching.